Neil Ross here, and it's time to get altered and get geeky on Altered Geek with Steve Megatron.
Hello and welcome to Altered Geek. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and joining me this week is...
Michael Boothninja Powers.
He is back.
I am. I don't know how many episodes that's in between.
2.
Okay. That's the way you record them now.
Well, I'm caching them for November and December.
Yeah, I saw you post that that you're getting a back catalog ready for the end of the year.
Yep, so that I can more or less just kind of veg at the end of the year.
Which, I mean, who doesn't want to do that, right?
Exactly.
So
you mentioned you got a new iPad.
I did. For anyone that cares, when the episode recorded is November 7th. So the new iPads came out today. I did not pre-order one because it took me a couple of days to decide whether or not I was going to get one. And I don't know if I think we recorded the day they announced them.
I think so.
And I hadn't quite made up my mind. And I knew I liked the way they looked and stuff like that, but it wasn't until like 2 days later when they put out, someone released supposed geek benchmarks, which, that's not, that doesn't really show you like real world performance, but it gives you an idea of how powerful the device actually is. And the numbers that they were able to get off of the new iPads rivaled. Let's put it this way. They're in spitting distance of Apple's 2018 MacBook Pros in terms of horsepower. So that means that they are better than my 2012 and 2016 MacBook Pro.
Okay.
So that just kind of made me go, all right. I don't, and I think we had this kind of conversation like on the last episode too, which is, computing needs change,
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's like, I think I said that I don't need to buy a MacBook. Like when I bought my MacBook in, February 2017, I told myself and my wife, and she didn't believe me at the time, but I kind of, for the first time in my life, I actually believed myself. And with the last 2 weeks that have gone by, I'm pretty sure, or at least the last week that's gone by, I'm pretty sure I do think that I don't know that I will buy another full-on computer, or a traditional computer, anyways, because I don't need that. And the fact that now a tablet rivals what those can do, or at least what I use a computer for.
Yeah, that's true.
That is, that's kind of astounding to me. And the only shortcoming I can think of from like the iPad being, I've seen this reflected in a couple of places in a couple of reviews. The only thing I can see the iPad being held back from, especially the new one being that has USB-C, from being like a full-fledged replacement, is that it doesn't support thumb drives. So, I mean, you can hook up a number of like USB-C devices to it. You can hook up an SD card reader and you can get your photos off of it that way. But if you plug in like a USB-C thumb drive, or I have a USB-C to USB adapter for it, and if I were to plug a thumb drive into that, the iPad just doesn't do anything with it. But that's not a limitation of the hardware. That's a software fix. So
they'll probably tackle that later on.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that could be fixed in an update, because they already have an app on iPhone and the iPad called Files, which is just a place where you can store generic files. And when you're in an app, you can get access to those files. So there's already a place to like load and unload like files from a USB drive. There's just, the iPad just doesn't recognize a USB drive when it's plugged into it. So it's something that can be fixed. And I think once they do that, like that could solve like a lot of problems. But right now I use iCloud, and I have like there's a folder on my, it works kind of like Dropbox. So there's a folder on my desktop, or actually anything on my desktop is stored in the cloud, and then I can access it both on my phone and on my iPad. So it's like I have a way of moving files around without needing a thumb drive. So I don't have that issue. But I'm recording my end of this from my iPad. And I've got my Blue microphone hooked up to it, and I've got Skype going, and I've got Twitter and a browser going. So it works for my needs. But the real crazy thing about it, and this is going to sound kind of weird because I like to think that I'm down with like tech and bring on like the new thing. But if like someone had told me like what did I say on Twitter? It was like 8 to 10 years ago that we would be where we are right now with portables rivaling full on computers, I never would have believed you.
Oh no.
Like you always expect one to outpace the other. And that's simply not the case. And it makes me kind of sad that there's so much compute power just wasted sitting in people's pockets. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. I can only, so the only example I have of like where I'm going with this is like when the PlayStation 3 first came out, there was a project, it was a medical project called Folding at Home.
Mm-hmm.
Where when you weren't using the PS3, you could leave it on, and after like 30 minutes of inactivity, it would launch the Folding at Home program, and it would run. It had to do with like DNA sequencing or genetics.
Okay.
But a university, I think it was like Stanford or some school on the West Coast was using, everyone can Google it, what it was on like Wikipedia or something. It was like protein sequencing to try to find cures for things. And so you were dedicating the access power in the PlayStation 3 when it wasn't being used to help solve world problems.
Interesting.
And that was a really cool idea. And you could like log in and you could see how many protein sequences like the PlayStation 3, like yours, had crunched compared to how many people, had been, there were stats that you could see, like what you had done, how long you had been doing it, and all this other stuff. And I can only imagine like if something like that could be done on these devices that we all walk around in our pockets.
The only issue is they need to come up with a better battery system.
Yeah, I get that. Like I realize, we're having the conversation now, and it's like, well, it's because they're not always plugged into power, so you can't really do that. But it's like they can still do like something. I mean, they're running tasks in the background all the time, and
yeah.
It's not like they would just do it without your consent. It'd be something that you would have to opt into. But like, I mean, there's just all these things around us that have all this processing power, and it's not being used for anything. It's like everyone's just hoarding compute power. It's such a waste. What these things are actually capable of and what they actually do is it's so weird to me. But yeah, I never would have believed anyone if they had tried to tell me that this is where we'd be like 10 years ago. Like I never would have believed it, but here we are. I've only had it for about 12 hours. I do like it. I went with the larger 12.9 inch size, which was quite a step up from, I had an original 9.7 inch iPad Pro, which is kind of the size I've stayed with since they came out in 2010. So it's a big step up, and I got the pencil again too, and I've been kind of messing around with that. But this is like the first real thing I've actually done with it all day. Otherwise, I've just been browsing the internet and
Just tinkering
texting.
with it.
Yeah, and texting people and browsing Twitter and stuff like that. Like I normally would do on my phone, but I was just using the iPad to do it. Just because I wanted to get like a handle on all the gestures or anything. But this is like the first time I've actually recorded any type of like a podcast with it, and I'm trying to come up with things to do with it, like creative wise. Like I want to use some of like the video editing features in it and see how quickly I can turn on like maybe like a something video related, and just see how all that works. But that's a little ways down the road. But I think my next step is going to be trying to figure out how to actually incorporate it and use it at work. Because like I said, I got the pencil and the entire piece is like the size of a sheet of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And it has the function where if it's the screen is asleep and you tap it with the pencil, it will wake up and launch into the Notes app. So you can just use it like a piece of scratch paper.
Oh, that's cool.
And I set it so that every day, like every time you tap on it from the lock screen, it will go back to that same note. So you can just use it like it's your pad of paper at the desk for the day. And then every day it'll roll over and start a fresh one and save the other one. So you can go back and look at like the previous day's notes. Meanwhile, you start with a fresh page every day. And I'm trying to work up the nerve. Granted, again, I've only had it for 12 hours. I don't work again until Saturday, and this is a Wednesday when I'm recording this. I'm trying to work up the nerve to actually bring it to work and put it on the desk where I put my scratch paper anyways.
And use it for productivity purposes.
Yeah, and actually use it in a work and place environment. Which I don't think will be a problem. I have a bag I can carry it in and everything. But it'd be really interesting to see if I can actually make it work that way. But yeah, that's enough about that. Like I really like it. Before we started this, I was I was going to use it to transition into something else. But what have you been up to?
Well, I've been kind of paying attention to a lot of various things in geek news, and we kind of brought this up the other day about the foldable smartphone, and I just mentioned it just based on the Motorola Razr 4 that's in development but not fully out there yet. Just from what I've seen of it, and it's not an actual item or displayed item yet. That was just like the render shots of it. But there's a company, the Royale FlexPay or something. I don't know, it's a weird name, but it came out. Well, they've released information on it anyway, and Digital Trends did a review. And they said the world's first foldable smartphone is awesome and you shouldn't buy it. So they kind of, explain about how the foldable design works, how the displays work. There was like a software glitch between trying to have the device figure out which screen you're using. And then being able to like twist it so you can use the camera on a certain side and see what you're shooting and everything from a different angle. But they said that you can use, because the screen's plastic on that one, it's not glass, obviously. They said, but you can fold it 200,000 times until it degrades. It means you can fold it 100 times a day. This screen should have no problem lasting 5 years, but most people don't have that kind of self-control. We grab our phones at every instant.
Yeah, but do you have to open it to use it?
I don't think so, but I think if you're, folding it out to use it as the full device, but they said that it's got clunky software. It's it's interesting, but there's also the cost is like way up there because they're like 6 gigabytes of RAM to start out with and 128 gig storage, and it's like $1,400, all the way up to like $2,000 for like 512 storage and 8 gig of RAM in it. For an unproven, unknown brand. And then Samsung later reveals later that day their first foldable smartphone of the Galaxy 10, with shots of theirs too, and it looks a little bit like a mini tablet when it's folded, which is kind of interesting. But I don't know if it's like a phone or if it's like they purposely had, but it's a little bit bigger device. It's not an actual like full-on smartphone. It's like a morph between a smartphone and a tablet. How they display it. But it's really strange, but I guess I've been working with Google's Android department to try and come up with a better system and more of a native than what they've got currently, which is good, but I don't know if I trust Samsung again after having owned one recently. And then LG and Hawaii are coming out with their own foldable phones too, but I like the concept. I don't know what the implementation is going to be like, but I like the concept of it.
So this goes back to like kind of like what we were talking about, what I was talking about with the iPad Pro. Like I like technology getting to where it is right now. Like I never thought it would be there. And by that I mean I thought like our computers would be way faster than they are now. Is like personal computers I thought would be way faster. I thought tablets and phones would get where they are now, but I always thought that computers and phones would keep that, or computers and notebooks and computers would keep that same lead that they had, right? So that I feel like this is the beginning of me kind of like I'm a pretty tech savvy guy and I like the latest stuff, but I'm coming up against that barrier where it's like, when you start getting older and things kind of start settling in, and that's just the way that it is. Like, I feel like I'm getting to that point where I'm not going to be very pliable or receptive to new tech. And I think the foldable phones, like I've seen OLED TVs get rolled up, but I've never seen one folded. To me, when you can fold something, that means it can be like creased. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's to me, I can fold a piece of paper. And the other way I look at it is like you can bend a piece of paper and keep it round and nice, but folding implies like you get that nice crease in it, right? And I don't. Maybe the way that they're saying is kind of like we have the near edge to edge display now, which is not really edge to edge, but like maybe it's not really folded, but it's still like it's almost folded, but it still has that bend in it, like
yeah, and
which
that's
is obviously what they're right, and that's obviously what they're going for. But like to me, man, I went and bought. I usually don't buy extended warranties on things. All right. I bought Apple Care once, and that was on my very first iBook back in 2004 because I'd never had a Mac before. Okay, I didn't know what I was in for, and I wanted to have some extra coverage, right? Never got it on an iPhone, never got it on an iPad. I don't get it on my Mac. I haven't gotten it on any Mac I've purchased since then. But when I went in and bought my iPad today, I got Apple Care on it. And you stupid cat. Hey. No. Stop.
No.
So, oh, good Lord.
Getting the third degree.
I'm going to throw something at him, and then he'll stop. Okay. So, holy cow. I bought Apple Care on it because these new liquid display, the Apple marketing as the liquid retina display, is an LCD with rounded corners.
Okay.
I bought Apple Care because I don't trust this rounded corner stuff on an LCD. Like LCD is meant to be a rectangle or a square. Like it's not meant to be shaped, if you will. Like I can't even imagine myself. I feel like by the time Apple gets around to making a foldable phone, because if that's what everyone's going to do, that's what's going to happen. Like, I don't, unless that's all they offer, I don't see myself making that jump. Like, if I don't trust a rounded off LCD display, there's no way I'm going to trust folding my phone. Like, I'm just getting that. I'm getting rigid like that with technology. It's like, this stuff isn't meant to do this. We should stop making it do this.
I'm kind of getting to that point with certain things, but like my version of Windows and so on. But when it comes to some of the tech, I'm kind of interested in seeing how it plays out, and more so, like, I just miss the days of having a flip phone. It has really nothing to do with the fact that I per se like this technology or not. I just liked having a flip phone because it was smaller. Not to say that these are going to be any smaller. They're probably going to be twice as thick because they're folded in half. But
didn't Nokia just release like a phone, like one of their original phones, their most popular phones, but it now runs Android?
Yeah, it's something like that. I want to kind of do something like that, but I don't want to get like an old, outdated piece of hardware either. I still want a smartphone. It's just I don't necessarily like. I don't know. Like, I just want something I can like easily get on my email and social media, and for the rest of it, like, I really don't use my phone for a whole lot else. Although if the ability was there, I would more than likely, like, if I had my editing software on my phone, I would probably edit on the go, or I would. I've already proven that my Blue Yeti can be plugged into my phone through the USB port, and that works, and that sounds great. And I've done recordings from it, although the software on it kind of sucks because they don't really have a dedicated Android software for that. But I've done like the Spreaker, which is our podcast host. I've used that on there and recorded episodes or recorded clips. And it actually works really great for that. So, I mean, if I could do a lot more of what I do on my PC on my phone, I would be more apt to use it for things. But again, like, I like the convenience of having the multiple screens set up that I have, and being able to kind of jump back and forth between things. But I get it, like, not wanting to kind of flip the switch and go to new hardware because they're constantly inventing something new. But I am interested in seeing at least what these foldable smartphones do, or how they look in person.
You know why I'm skeptical of the foldable phone beyond the fact that it's a foldable phone? It's because, like, they've tried, manufacturers have tried the like, I feel like there's a step that's missing here, right? Like, where's the phone that has like 4 displays on it, right? So it's got the front one like we have now, and then you can open it up and maybe there's 2 separate displays in there, and there's the hinge in the middle, but it's still 2 displays. And then, like, you close it, and on the back side there's the display. Like, I feel like we're missing a step here. Like I don't know where the marketing is going. Oh, well, people want this because they want this giant square that, like, they want to be able to unfold it and look at a square to be able to do something. I feel like there's a step, like because we've seen the phones where they have the front and then they have like an e-ink screen on the back, so like you can get generic information like when the phone is like face down.
Yeah,
like those never took off. Like, I don't get where this is.
ZTE actually came up with a foldable phone, but it had a hinge.
Right.
and it you could have different things going on the two different screens, and they still had like the the outlying screen effect to it, and yet it never blew up. It's just because these are foldable that everybody's kind of losing it.
Well, I see. That's the thing. Like, I don't. It's also like the mic. There's the. Do you remember the Microsoft Courier?
Vaguely.
Which was like basically two iPads like folded over on each other.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah,
and
I remember that.
It would unfold it, and you'd have the two displays that you were supposed to be able to. It was like the Surface. It became the Surface, but the Surface is just one half of what the Courier was. Like we're baby steps here. Like, we're missing a step. Like, you don't even know that a phone of this type would sell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get the. I don't know. It baffles me. And like I said, in another 2 to 4 years, the foldable phones will probably be what the thing is, and I'll have an Apple foldable phone. Like, I'm not saying I won't ever have one. I'm just saying, like, I look at it right now, and I used to consider myself like a forward-thinking guy, but I can't see this. I don't see this. I see it as a way to like sell stuff, and maybe it'll start out like the phones did, where like you know what it is? I feel like this is the when iPhones all had like the 3.5-inch screen and the 4-inch screen, and everyone started making these giant phones.
Yeah.
To try to sell more phones because they thought that's what people wanted, but it didn't really do anything to stop Apple from selling phones. And then, when Apple broke and made their larger iPhones and like smashed a ton of records, and all of a sudden, like, now the Android manufacturers have nothing to like separate themselves. Like, I feel like this is that again. It's like, okay, we need to do something before Apple does it and takes all of our money. Like, I feel like that's what this is.
Like, they're all trying to hit this imaginary mark to try and like one up Apple.
Right. Well, it's like we have no, and I'm keep in mind here, I'm not sitting here saying that iOS is better than Android. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm stating is actually
the companies are trying to.
They're trying to give a reason to
switch.
Yeah, to make you want to buy their device, and because it used to be we have larger phone sizes, but they still didn't. They may have sold more, but they still didn't make as much money as Apple did selling 3.5 and 4-inch screens. So now they're trying to find the next thing, and the next thing is to make this foldable display. Like, and it's not like, I feel like that's what it is. It's not even like we're just trying to find a reason to get people interested in our phones. And in that respect, I think they're just going after foldable phones won't be a thing.
No.
They will be a niche market that will be smaller than tablets, I think.
I don't think it'll last as long either. I think that I don't think this will have like a lasting effect. I think the technology they're developing through it will have a lasting effect with other types of displays. But I don't think that it'll catch on as a whole with the smartphone department after this whole thing goes over.
You know what baffles me is where's the technology that gets us? Where's the display technology, or the hardware, or just the technology in general that gets us to like do you remember in Iron Man 3 the cell phones they had that Iron Man had, where it was just that piece of glass?
Yeah.
Like, when do we get to that?
Well, remember a few years ago they had the rollout like clear like TV screens?
Vaguely.
I mean, they kind of, it was one of those things from like one of the computer electronics show, like, and then they just kind of like, it just disappeared after that.
Well, I think that's what OLED. I mean, technically, an OLED display could do that. You just have to hide what's driving it. Most of what you see with an OLED TV is something that they have to hold the screen flat. In fact, one of the OLEDs you can buy, you're literally just buying the OLED panel in a frame, and then there's a separate box that goes in your entertainment center, and a cable runs to the TV. That box holds the guts that drives the TV. Like it. So it's a matter of like, how do we weight this display so it actually stays flat instead of like wanting to curl up on itself?
Okay.
And that's mostly like what an OLED is, and you can tell, like, if you go look at an OLED and you turn it sideways, like the top like 3/4 of it, or like I'll say 2/3 of it is like 5 millimeters thin, and then the bottom third is like a little panel that protrudes to hold the guts of the TV that actually drives everything, and where you connect everything to, like your IO and all that stuff. Like that stuff could all be like separated out and put in a box somewhere. And then essentially you could have that. Like you could have a projector screen. Like it would look like a projector screen, but it would be better because it would be actually self-lit, you know. But I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to watch it come and go, and to see all these guys like chase after the same thing and what they are able to do with it. I just don't. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not even one of the guys that wants like a display on the back of my phone. Like when I put it upside down, I put it upside down because I don't want to see my phone screen. You know, like I don't. And again, the use case scenario for me to need a phone and then to need to have like more phone in front of me on a daily basis, that does, for me, that doesn't exist. But I'm not everybody. I know people will buy it. I just think it's a gimmick. I think this is the new hotness, so everyone's gonna. It kind of reminds me of the T-Mobile Sidekick.
Yeah.
And the way like the screen would like flip up to reveal like the full size keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That just popped into my head when we were thinking about this.
I don't know. It's an interesting development, and they're replacing the glass layer that's in them with like an advanced composite polymer, which is interesting. But
that's also called plastic.
Yeah.
And I feel like that also.
But they make it sound
like,
big.
Yeah. Well, everyone does. I mean, every smartphone uses Gorilla Glass, but every manufacturer and it calls it something different. So it's like whatever. It'll be interesting to like to track it. I just don't. Like I said, I'm getting that. I feel that tech every day. I feel that tech curmudgeon syndrome coming on.
So we'll see how well it blows over when it comes out, though. I think Samsung is supposed to have like a limited edition market for it. They're not like, I think it's more so just so they can say they have one.
I feel like that's what everyone's doing, and that they're just, like I said, they're going to say they're doing it because Apple isn't, and they need a way to differentiate their phones from what Apple is doing. So we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of seeing what happens, we have the Diablo Immortal debacle, which was online, and it's been fun just because I didn't catch it when the video dropped originally, and then just watching reactions pile in on Twitter, and then I'm like, what is this all about? And then I had to actually like look up a bunch of articles, which you can find them anywhere, and there's people on both sides of it. It's really funny to watch the video where they've got the keynote of the guy standing there talking about the lore, the game, and then it's like dead quiet in there for no apparent reason, and then the comments that are cycling through are like, "Boo, death to Diablo," all this other like hate crap in there, and it's like, okay, if it's not your cup of tea, don't download it. But
like, I don't. First of all, my Twitter feed, which is primarily a bunch of guys in the gaming industry, they were blasting the commenter that like came across like super entitled, like in his approach, like talking to the dev the way that he talked to him, and asking if it was like an early April Fool's joke. Like, that is just that's rude. First of all, it's like no one knows how to behave anymore. I feel like
there's no filter,
and it's whatever. I had a thought, and I put it up on Twitter myself. And here's the thing: I'm going to download this game. I'm going to play this game. I don't know that I'm going to give it any of my money, but I do know that, and I've thought about this. I don't play games on my phone, but I'll play games on like my Nintendo DS every once in a while. And I have no problem paying $20 to $40 for a DS game. All right. And we can add by extension the Switch to that, because let's be honest, the Switch is just a very fancy Kindle Fire with controllers on it.
Yeah.
So, like, I've bought Switch games for $60. And that's primarily a mobile thing. Like, I would be willing, I will go on record, I'd be willing to pay $40 for this game if it didn't have, if the $40 version was like rebalanced, so it was an actual game that wasn't based on microtransactions.
I could see that.
Now, having said that, I don't know how the game is going to be balanced. We know it's going to have microtransactions, because what doesn't? We know it's probably going to be free to play, which means it's going to be balanced towards microtransactions, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be good to play, right? Like, that just means it's going to have microtransactions in it. The game could still play like Diablo and be just as grindy as Diablo is now, and it could be just as fun as Diablo is now. It'll just have microtransactions. Not the end of the world. The issue is how fast are you going to hit that wall where you feel like you're grinding because they want you to pay, you know? I just don't see, like, I didn't see this backlash when they announced Diablo 3 for the Switch, you know? Like, maybe it's because it's Diablo 3 and everyone's already played Diablo 3.
Well, Diablo 3 came out in like
2013, right?
Spring of 2013. I remember because both my friends got laid off the same week it came out. And
yeah, it's
was
an older game.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, we all played it. The thing that people seem to forget is it was loaded with microtransactions too.
Right.
They had
the auction house and the online, hooked to being always online and all that stuff.
Yeah, which there's, they took out the auction house because, it just wasn't feasible on that game. But it just means that they just saved the idea for microtransactions in their mobile strategy. And the thing is both games require you to be online. So it's not like, there wasn't this there was backlash for Diablo 3 back when it came out, but people still played it. tons
of backlash. There were people that were complaining about the way Diablo 3 looked.
I still bought it.
Dude, I bought it. I had the version. You gave me one of your demo keys.
Yep.
And I bought it on my Mac, and then I was like, this needs to be played with a controller. And I bought it on the PS3, and I bought it again on the PS4. But that said, what I was getting at is maybe they weren't upset about the Switch version because everyone that wanted to play Diablo 3 has already played Diablo 3. They're not out anything because it came to the Switch, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the flip side of that is Diablo said, Blizzard said a couple weeks ago, they're not going to have any information about Diablo 4, at BlizzCon. And I think what most people got mad about was they're not announcing anything about Diablo 4, but here's this mobile version for cell phones, which cell phones have come a long way. First of all, it's not like it was. But I think one of the big criticisms though is that I saw, and I haven't really dug into it because I don't really want to dig into it, but some people are saying it's just a reskin of a Japanese or a Chinese game.
It's not, but they worked with a Chinese company to build it.
Right. So, but that company made a game that looks exactly like that plays exactly like this. But the flip side of that is there are tons of games that all play the same. You know, you've played one first-person shooter, you've played them all, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a different skin.
Yeah. So, that in itself doesn't bother me, and really, what it's going to come down to is like, how fast do I hit that wall where I feel like the game wants me to pay to make progress? And at the end of the day, I came down that my stance on it was, and I posted it on Twitter and Facebook. I said to everyone whining about Diablo on mobile, if you could make a machine to print money, you would too. Also, you're not kidding anyone. You'll play it. You'll give Blizzard loads of money in microtransactions. Loads of money Blizzard will use for, I don't know, Diablo 4. Like, it. Yeah, everyone that's mad is going to play this game. You know why they're going to play it? Because it's going to be free to try. That's why. And that's where Blizzard's going to be able to shine. That's like that's where Blizzard's going to do what Blizzard does, and they're going to get you hooked on like how good it feels to play that game. And like all the rewards you get, the loot you get, and all this other stuff, and you're going to want to keep playing it, and then you're going to want to give them money. And I know at a certain point, even when I play, even if it doesn't get grindy, like if I play it enough, if I spend enough time playing the game, I will probably want to give them money for it.
Which I did with Star Trek Online.
Right. Like, and I feel like I've done, like, I've paid for free to play games before. Like, I did War Thunder. Like, I put, like, I think I put 80 to just over 100 hours into War Thunder. And then I dropped, like, $60 on it. Like, because I just played 80 to 100 hours of your free game and I had a blast. Like, here's $60. You know, and when I came back to Diablo 3 this year, like, I bought the expansions because, like you said, Diablo 3 came out 5 years ago, and I'm playing it again now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, here's some more money because I'm still having fun with your game. Like, that's me. That's how I am. Like, unless there's something where I feel like I got burned, like with Fortnite, like, I'll give you money. Like, I have apps on my phone that I paid for my Twitter client. I paid, it was I think it was $5 on my phone and $15 for it on my iPad, and I think I paid $25 for it on my computer. So I've paid almost $40 to use a Twitter app. Like, and because the way the App Store works, when they release an update, there's no way to pay for an upgrade. So when they would release a major release, like, you would get updates, but when they would release like a brand new version that was like a complete retool, like, they would sell it again. So I bought it again because it's a really good app. But the most recent one that they did, they released it as a free update, but they did this really interesting thing where they put in like a tip button. And so there's like 99 cents, $1.99. I think the highest amount you could tip was $5. And whichever one you tipped, like, if you tipped the lowest amount, they unlocked like a couple of hidden features. Like, each tier unlocked a couple of hidden features. But if you tipped the most, which was $5, it unlocked all of the hidden features. And I ended up tipping them again. And and it's because I I use their app all the time, and they make a good app. Like if someone makes something good, I'm going to pay them for it. Like that's just the way I am, and I feel like, Blizzard being Blizzard. I mean, I can't believe it took them this long. And they have to know that they have to have the metrics on how many people are actually going to play this, because they have a mobile game already. They have Hearthstone.
Yeah, and the thing is people that like Diablo are going to be rabid enough to download it anyway to try it. I mean, I know I'm going to try it when it comes out.
100%.
It actually sparked me to re-download Diablo 3. So I can go back in and play it since all the recent updates. Like I haven't played it in so long. I think it's been like 3 or 4 years since I played it. It's probably been about 3 actually. But they've come out with the Necromancer add-on, which I didn't even know. Like that was my favorite character to play in Diablo 2, and I played the crap out of that for years. And so I mean, I'm downloading it again to try, playing the game again. But no, I mean, I'll give this a shot. I mean, it takes place between D2 and D3, so
Yeah.
story-wise.
I mean, I don't know why anyone wouldn't, right? It more than likely is 90% sure it's going to be free, right? Like,
yeah.
But I'm saying though, even if it is free, if there was like an option in there, like when you go to like the pay your microtransactions to get whatever it's going to be, like for you to advance faster in the game, like if there was an option to pay us $40 and we'll rebalance the game, like I would 100% do that. Like, I don't know. I feel bad because like I don't feel like mobile is a bad ecosystem. I feel like because it took us 10 years to get where we are right now with phones, that's what made it a bad place.
And I feel like too that everybody just wants to hate on the newest thing that comes out, like with the most like to dislike ratio.
Well, there's that, but like when the app stores first came out, there was that race to the bottom, right? Like I remember EA tried selling games for like $20. I bought Mirror's Edge on my first iPad for 15. Like, but there was that race to the bottom because you didn't want to be the guy that made the Tetris clone that was $15 when there was another guy that made a Tetris knockoff that was 99 cents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then it became, well, how much can we actually put into a game if we know we're only going to get 99 cents from somebody? Like I remember that the bottom fell out so fast on the App Store, it didn't have time to build the ecosystem where productivity applications. All right, like I'm trying to think. Well, like take my Twitter client for example. All right, like I paid $5 to $10 for that because it was a really good Twitter client. Like, and I like that way better than Twitter's free app. Like, I feel like productivity apps people are willing to pay for, but when it comes to games, like they didn't have a chance to. The App Store didn't have a chance to mature to be a place where people could buy real games. And I feel like only through recent games like Fallout Shelter, which is still a very mobile forward game, I would say, but you've got Fallout Shelter, Fortnite, and PUBG. I feel like those games, and mostly Fortnite and PUBG, I feel like those games are changing the conversation about gaming on mobile devices. And I think that Diablo could do that too. Because right now the other big names that you have, like Fallout Shelter, that's very mobile that's like Sim Tower. Like Sim Tower would be great as a mobile game.
Oh yeah.
But that's essentially what Fallout is like a weird version of Sim Tower. And then you've got, Blizzard's got Hearthstone. I know Bethesda has some Elder Scroll card game. Like you have card games. You have all these card games, but those are really easy to make. as a mobile game, because you're just moving cards around, it's not like you're making like an action game or a shooter or anything like that. Like I feel like the market's just getting to where maybe there's a possibility that someone could make a game now that people will be willing to spend $20 to $40 on. I know I go through the game side of the App Store like 3 or 4 times a week to try to find something to play, and I can't find anything. I have 4 games on my phone.
I have none at the moment.
And I don't play them. Like I play them like maybe I'll play one for like 5 times a month. And a lot of the games I'll download, I'll be like, oh, this looks interesting. I'll download it. I'll play it for like a hot second. An ad will pop up, and I'll immediately delete it.
That's the same route for me. I don't deal with ads.
Like that said, when I was on vacation in Dallas, I found this this really nifty game. I don't know if there's an Android version of it, but it was called Tornado.io. And you just play as this tornado, and you just have to go around and destroy as much stuff as you can and make yourself into a bigger tornado until the time runs out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very therapeutic. And I played it like every day that I was in Dallas. And then the day that we were flying back, I paid for it. Like it was a free to play, and it had like you could give them $5 to unlock the game and remove ads. I gave them the $5. I was like, okay, I've played this enough. Here's your $5. And still, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, I'll take it out and I'll play like a couple of rounds, because it's just, you just swipe your thumb around on the screen, just controlling this tornado, going around, ripping these houses and picking up these chickens and fence posts. And I don't know, it's just a fun little game to waste time with. But I don't know, maybe it's coming back around. I just think that getting mad about a game, I wish that was like the worst. I don't think my life is especially bad, but I feel like if you have nothing to worry about other than a game, I want your life. Like if there's nothing else in your life that is going to make you mad or upset or anything than a game, I want your life. Like that's oh, to be that person. but I don't want to live in your parents' basement.
No. I don't know. I'm not that concerned with the way the game's going. I think it's really silly on their behalf. All these people that are just losing it. And it's funny. One of the hosts of Geek Responsibly on Geekcast Radio says Diablo mobile announcement was tough to watch. I get it. I really want something new for PC or PS4, but damn, the boos from the crowd were rough. I get it too. Like, I mean, I want Diablo 4, but obviously, like, they're putting their time into developing a game that's going to be good with a good storyline. So
this is how we're going to get Diablo 4. And if this is how we get Diablo 4, then that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, see, that's the thing. Like, every game, I feel like, I talked to somebody at work about this who's a big fan of World of Warcraft. Like, I feel like every game that Blizzard makes, like, Blizzard has a bunch of money. Blizzard has a ton of money. Blizzard can make the sequel to any game that they have that they want. They can do that. But the bottom line is, Blizzard is a company, and if they can find a way for each franchise that they have to generate its own money rather than one franchise paying for another, they're gonna go that route first.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, they made a crap ton of money off of Diablo 3, and that's great. But Diablo as a franchise right now is the only one that they have that doesn't have its own profit center. Like Overwatch has loot boxes, makes tons of money. Hearthstone has the card packs, makes tons of money. World of Warcraft has the subscription. Like, Diablo doesn't have anything. There's nothing about Diablo as a franchise that is printing them money. And if this is how it happens, this is how it happens. So,
Yep. So on a lighter note, other than people whining about video games, I'm trying to see if I can get into various conventions next year.
okay.
Just to be there and cover the events, because I think it'd be fun. So, I was too late for SDCC, but obviously, like, I live way too far away from that. But it would have been funny to see if I could get it. But I did get a C2E2 pass, which I did not expect. So yeah, I would have gone to like Motor City Comic Con, except for the fact that it lands by my anniversary every year, and that's like kind of a no-go weekend. And so I'm like, not gonna happen. But yeah, I was really surprised to have gotten that one, so I'm gonna try my hardest to make that event now that it's there. But it's in Chicago, so not a huge deal.
Well, that's good.
Mostly just driving. Blanchard's like, you can crash on my couch, and I'm like, okay. So, but yeah, I thought it was kind of an interesting, thing to kind of come up while I was messing around with that. So, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to bring up on this?
Well, real quick, I've got Batman the Animated Series on Blu-ray.
Yes, that's right.
I just want to say a special shout out to Amazon for banging the ever-loving crap out of my collection. They shipped it in one of those. They didn't ship it in a box. They shipped it in one of those.
The soft packs.
It's the soft packs that has like the bubble wrap inside of an envelope. They shipped it in one of those. So the corner, there's like some creasing and some stuff like that. And I hit them up on Facebook, and they said, or not Facebook, but Twitter, but they're like, oh, we're so sorry about that. Get back with us. And I said, this is a limited set. It's they're numbered. And I was like, I appreciate you trying to do something, but I'm not sending it back because I don't want to risk not being able to get a set of it,
Mm-hmm.
Plus it's not like the discs themselves were damaged.
It's just the case.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's once I'm done with it, it's gonna go on a shelf. I'll probably never touch it again.
That's probably true.
But it looks like, we talked about this on the last episode with like HD remakes and stuff like that. Like the remakes look like you remember the game looking like the first time you played it. This looks like how I remember Batman the Animated Series looking like when I watched it on a standard definition TV. Like, but it's in HD. Like, it's not. I'm not saying like it's you're definitely not watching the DVD version. Like, if the DVD version is what you got when you watched it on TV, but this is how you remember seeing it when you were a kid watching this. Just a couple of things that kind of irked me about the whole thing was that the episodes, and they did this on the DVD too, the episodes are in production order, not aired order.
Boo.
Which is really weird because like it's like the second episode has like, it's the Christmas episode with the Joker and Robin.
Okay.
Like that's the second episode in the set. Like, because that was the second episode in the production order. So you go, it's like you have On Leather Wings, and then all of a sudden Robin is there and the Joker is a thing. And then the next episode is neither one of them are around. So that's just kind of weird. But then you realize that like Batman, the animated series isn't really serialized TV. every episode is more or less one-off, unless it's actually a distinct two-parter. So it doesn't really matter the aired order.
True.
And so once I kind of got that, I was like, that okay, all right, now I can just watch this and enjoy it, because at least the two-parters do air the way they're supposed to, because that's how they were done production-wise. You had part one and then part two. But like, to watch On Leather Wings and then to have a Christmas episode, and you're like, that's not how this would be, because that's not how it was. Anyways, so that was a little nitpicky, but then I got over that, and I think I'm only on episode 12 of season 1. I just watched the one where I don't remember the one I just watched. I've already seen my most hated one though, and that's the one where he's like, he forgets who he is, and he's in that mining camp.
Yep.
I hate that episode.
I do too.
It's the music. There's only one song in that entire episode, and they keep spinning it up, and it's the most annoying music.
Oh, I 100% agree with you.
Like, I can't. It's like it's such a distinctive episode, and it's just like I can't. Like, my wife was here when that one was on. I said, "This I hate this episode. I hate it." She's like, "Why?" I said, "Because the music. It's the same. There is no change in the music. They use the same song the entire time, and they keep starting the song over, like every single time." And so she just started laughing at me because I would cringe every time it would start over. It's like the longest 22 minutes ever.
It feels like it. I remember doing that, like cringing when I had to watch it for Legends of the Dark Knight with Mike Blanchard. We were watching it. He's like, "Oh, but I like this," and I'm like, I can't stand this episode.
It's nails on a chalkboard, man.
I mean, I like what they did with the character and everything, but like, yeah, the music was kind of jarring.
Yeah, and I feel like it was like the villain was like something out of like the 80s. Like really something out of the 80s.
Oh, definitely.
Like something I would have seen on Cops. Do you remember that show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super cheesy.
Yeah. So, or Cops or Captain Planet.
It seems more Captain Planet.
Yeah.
Or Pirates of Dark Water.
Was that Boss Hog?
Yeah.
Or no, that was Boss Hog is Dukes of Hazzard.
Well, there was I
can't remember
was his name Blight?
Is that his name?
I'm gonna find out.
He looks like a fat pig. He's like an anthropomorphized pig.
Let's see. I'm pulling up the villains right now. We got his name was Hoggish Greedley.
Yep, that's it. Okay.
Yep.
I was close.
Yep.
So, but no, it looks great. It sounds great. But today, funny story here. Today, I was trying to think of something to do on my iPad because it has a really nice display on it, and it's supposed to be one of the most color accurate displays that you can get on the market. And so I'm thinking, well, I have Batman the Animated Series, and it came with digital copies. And so I was like, well, why don't I watch a couple of episodes on my iPad and just take it all in, see how it goes. Well, you redeem the digital copies through Vudu, and I'm like, okay, whatever, that's fine. So I redeem my digital copies, and I put the Vudu app on my iPad, and I go in to like find them, and they're the standard definition versions. And I was so like, I was shocked because it's like they have the HD version on the DC Universe, but the Blu-ray set that I just spent $100 on comes with standard definition digital copies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, that's a joke, right? And so I added one of my friends, Justin Sluss from High Def Disc, and I wasn't like complaining to him like he could do anything about it, but I was just like, what do you think about them only including standard definition digital copies on the Blu-ray set? It's kind of shitty. And he agreed with me and whatnot. And then I sat down to have dinner with my wife, and I noticed I had an email on my phone, and it was from Vudu. saying that they worked it out with Warner Brothers to up the standard definition versions to their HDX, and then they also added Sub-Zero and Mask of the Phantasm
Mm-hmm.
in as well. Like there was like no upcharge or anything like that. They just, and I didn't include them. Like when I added my buddy on Twitter to talk to him about it, I didn't include Voodoo and say anything about them at all. It was just, here's this email that had a code for me to change all my stuff over to the HD version. So it's like, I was like, oh, cool. Like I'm bummed about this, and then like maybe I should be bummed about more things, because apparently if I'm bummed, maybe like an hour later I get an email that says, oh look, here's that thing that you were bummed about and we fixed it.
Nice.
Like it was great. Just to be able to, and before we sat down here to record, I watched a couple of episodes on my iPad. It looked good on there, and of course it fills the whole screen because the iPad is 4:3. Just like the show is. So, but other than that, I think that's all I've got. I haven't really been playing any games. I'm looking forward to Fallout 76 next week.
Yeah, I heard that was gonna be out.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I have a core group of people that I play online games with, and I think we will enjoy it. I think it will be a game that my friends and I will enjoy. But like every headline that I've seen makes me kind of go, maybe I shouldn't buy this. But I have to weigh like what the head. Again, I don't read the articles, I don't read the reviews. I have to weigh what the headline is against playing games with my friends, if that makes any sense.
What you're gonna enjoy versus what it's trying to tell you.
Exactly. It's like, am I going to care about what this article actually is? Am I going to, like, they're talking about like the frame rates and the field of view and a couple of glitches here and there in a beta, and I'm like, am I going to care about any of this stuff when I'm roaming the wasteland with like 4 of my buddies? Like, no, I'm not. Like, so I've been trying to avoid that stuff, but yeah, it's kind of hard. And then I just have to keep telling myself, I'm gonna be playing with my friends. It's gonna be good. I'm gonna be playing with my friends. So hopefully the next time I record, I'll have something to share about that. But yeah,
Sounds good though. Yeah. Really cool that you lucked out on the BTAS though.
yeah. And my set is like 30,000 of like 69,000 copies, which is great because I swear I had my order in like before they took them down to increase the order from 30,000 to 70,000. But it's like one of those things where it's like my order number or the number on my box means like if they hadn't increased that lot, I wouldn't have gotten it. You know, but I got like I said, I got my order in before, so it's like it's one of those things where it's probably like they probably put the numbers on them after they had printed them all up, so it's like it doesn't matter when you placed your order, you
True.
know. So, but
yeah, it's still. I'll stick with my my SD ones only because I rarely pull them out.
I did the cardinal sin thing though that you shouldn't really do with a collector set. I gave my wife the pop cap things to put on her desk at work. So
Nice.
just in case anyone's wondering, because I really don't care about them. I kept the part that actually matters.
The discs.
Yep. So, and I'm trying to find my Batman animated coffee table book. I think it's down in my basement, but I'm not sure. I need to find it and pull it out so I can put them both together. I told you about that, right? Did I mention that on the last record?
I don't know.
It goes for about $100 now, but I bought it in like the late 90s when I really got into Batman the Animated Series. It was a coffee table book by, I don't know if it was by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, but I know that they were heavily involved in it, and it's basically the making of Batman the Animated Series.
Oh, okay.
in a coffee table book, and it's called Batman Animated. I looked it up. I don't think you can get it anymore. It's out of print, but it's like $100 a copy now.
Yeah, most of the stuff back then is out of print.
Yeah, I think I have it in a box down in my basement, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So, but I wanna find it so I can display it along with the animated set, obviously. So that's all I got. I'll stop rambling. We're good.
Awesome.
Unless you got more.
I have nothing, so I think this is a good cutoff point. So you can find us on the social medias. I'm at SCP-21.
I am at Boothninja81.
So until next time, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.
Bye.
Bye.